Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we're going to review Aleph Zero, the AZERO token. This is a top view of the model. For those who are unfamiliar with my channel and how it works, what I do is I do research, I feed it into this model, the model has an output, and then we compare the output to reality, and I reflect and modify the model to better correlate to higher ROI. So it is an iterative model to approach the highest ROI that we can in crypto. So this is a top-down view. You can see many of the elements in this project are green. And so let's just get right into the, a review of this model, of this project, Aleph Zero. So what problem market does this project currently solve? It is basically an L1 project that is a general trust computer. It is, an L1 computer is a smart contracts environment that allows for value transfers, web3 infrastructure. For many people, what web3 infrastructure is for people who are unfamiliar with that concept, is it's just ownership of the web, where in the past we had web 1 was read, web 2 was read and write, and web 3 is ownership. This is part of that infrastructure and part of that industry. Okay, but one of the things that it does differently, there's many L1s in the cryptocurrency sphere. What it does is it has this technology called the DAG, directed acyclic graph, but it is not entirely using DAG. It is a blockchain. It is a DAG component in the front architecture. So it's a DAG in the front part, but in the back part is a blockchain. And so it uses that technology in the front, and then it uses a regular blockchain in the end. So that way it could be more closer to instant finality. So it uses the directed acyclic graph, intermediate data structure, in order to accomplish near instant finality, like I just stated. Okay, so it is not a DAG, it is still a blockchain. It integrates with Substrate, so it's not a parachain in the Polkadot ecosystem, but Substrate is a general toolkit with for interoperability. So it's a toolkit for building blockchains. So I guess you can say it is part of the Polkadot ecosystem, but it's mostly part of the Substrate ecosystem. It will be compatible with many of the elements of the Polkadot ecosystem. And that makes this project more future-proof than many of the others, because it is Rust, and it's using modern block development environments, modern toolkits, and it will be interoperable with all those toolkits that are coming out of the Polkadot ecosystem and the parity technologies and Substrate, etc. So that is one of the benefits of this project, is it comes from it is set up its architecture from that angle. It will use your zero knowledge proofs for its privacy components, and that should come out this year. It has Aleph Byzantine fault tolerant, and its DAG blockchain components. This is their consensus engine, and it claims to solve the blockchain trilemma by combining these two peer research approaches. This peer research approach of combining the DAG and the blockchain together. Right now, it has 100,000 transactions per second capacity. So just in general, to review everything once again, and it's an L1 with privacy, DEX, dark pools, etc., and no front running in that pool, and interoperability from the beginning with the Substrate portal, the Substrate toolkit, etc. Okay, so let's just get into the model and review the price expectation using the model. All right, let me do this. I am doing this review from the road as I travel, so that's why it's a little difficult for me to do this accurately right now, but okay. So future increase in demand for the token, model expects that to be the case. Regarding the social media presence, it is fairly early, so that is a good thing. That is the kind of thing we like to see. The roadmap. So regarding the roadmap, it does have some good things coming. Native token transfer, Rust implementation on the Aleph Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus, and it is also basic smart contract capabilities. All of this should be in. Well, this one should be available in August, so that's a good thing. So it'll get a lot. You can't really do anything with this project until the smart contracts are up, and those should be coming out sometime next month or soon. according to the team. So the roadmap looks good, especially in the short run, and with these other things that will be built out. So the roadmap looks good. So that could lead to price action. Low inflation rate. Well, the token hold, it doesn't have low inflation. It is going to be high inflation, but the token holders are in control of that right now. It's like 20%, but a lot of the tokens are still kind of hoarded in some locations, like the team, etc. So when those tokens are released, it feels like inflation. So but I still put green because this token is a governance, like this token has governance abilities, and there will be on-chain governance built into this platform. Token to supply distribution, all of these things are kind of irrelevant because a token is ownership of the platform, being a proof of stake architecture. And let me just go over the token model, the token economics, so we can understand better why I have these things green over here, the token distribution and the token inflation. Okay, so the token is used for services and governance. So it is used to wrap assets in its liminal, its privacy features. The token is used to as collateral in validator node staking, proof of stake chain. There's proof of stake capabilities, proof of stake, networking, security. You put it up as collateral to be able to participate in the network. And the governance is decided by validators, and the validators are created by token holders in that proof of stake model. Therefore, having the token is ownership of the platform and governance over the platform. So, the token decides everything, and therefore, that's why we don't care about the token distribution, because the token is literally like whoever owns it represents, voting power over the entity. It is a low market cap. This thing is 50. It's somewhere between, I couldn't really tell how many tokens are actually in circulation. It's somewhere between this 57 million and 200 million. It's probably closer to the 200 million. Last time I looked on chain. But it's somewhere between there. I'm not sure which tokens are actually circulating right now, but let's just assume that they all are. That would make it a 200 million market cap, which is on the lower end. Now, the ICO performance is kind of risky. It is kind of risky that they could dump on you, these ICO investors. They're 7x, 21x, and 18x up in terms of USD, ETH, and Bitcoin, respectively. And that was since October, which is less than a year. And this project did raise 16 million, so it at least has 16 million in its coffers. But remember, these ICO investors are sitting on some decent profits right now, especially in terms of ETH, Bitcoin, and USD. So that's something to consider. That is a risk factor. But there is not FOMO of price action. The price action of this thing has not been skyrocketing, but I put it as yellow because of how high the profits are for the ICO investors right now. But once again, I think these things are kind of negated by the fact that it's such a low market cap. It's got, it's somewhere between a 50 and a 200 million market cap. So those things are mitigated by the fact that it is kind of on the lower end. And it could, the market size. So what market this project addresses is, the general purpose L1s, which is a huge market. Now, it's got a lot of competition in that field. But we know that's a $300 trillion market. And so even if projects are running shoulders, there's plenty of room to service businesses in this new architecture that will be web3 and architecting, being part of the infrastructure for all the business logic of the future, which is what blockchain is going to accomplish. And this is that L1 general purpose trust computer environment. And, so that's what it should appeal to. Now, the governance is regarding the governance structure, it's typical of many proof of stake chains, medium, but it does heavily depend on the team being successful. It depends on the teams. At this point, it still is heavily dependent on the team contributing to it, building out services, building out partnerships, etc. So, but I put it as medium because it's moving into those more decentralized stages. And regarding the vision, it's basically just to solve the shortcomings of the blockchain trilemma is kind of what I saw from there. So, evidence that the management is trustworthy. A lot of these, the management is PhDs from mathematics. That's what you need to know about this project. Is that many of them have PhDs in mathematics, and and they have machine learning backgrounds, software backgrounds. They're all very intelligent people, and so the team is pretty strong. So they're all, many of them are PhD, many of them work in AI, and so their background is pretty solid. Regarding strategic partnerships, they have back-end solutions for blockchains, Tailsman Wallet, that's part of the Substrate Polkadot ecosystem, and Butterfly is a DNS service that someone was building there as well. So with using Butterfly Labs, etc. So it was some of these smaller partnerships. Okay. Regarding the large business models and demand a token to reflect your needs, now it's somewhat neutral. Like if you build your business logic on this project, you're probably going to want to own the tokens so that you have that finality and you can operate a node, etc., and be closer to the data as it passes through the node. And you could work with the ecosystem. So I put it as neutral. Investors would want to hold this and participate in the node architecture. So there will be demand for the token because it is, like shares of a pretty powerful entity. Now, developer experience, they're using Substrate, so they're going to have some of the most powerful toolkits there. Developer motivation will be part of the income from the project, from fees, etc., and node operators to pay for those developers. And I do expect high value upgrades from all of that. Value of services to increase, I expect that. So it's got this architecture to continue to add value, user experience, etc. So because it's it's architected to where it could keep adding, if as it gets rolling along, it could raise funds to pay developers and keep growing. And it would have a moat if whoever builds their business logic in the system, it would be sticky. And this is a Rust environment. This is a Substrate environment. So. But once you build your business logic with this project, it would be hard for you to move to another one, unless everything, all the standards become ubiquitous. But we're not even close to that right now. And flywheel effect, it would have that best option in the competition. It's got some of the best technology out there to date, etc. And it's such a small project. There's no one that I could hear. None of these competing platforms talking about it yet, so I couldn't really fill that one in. Now it's not even close to being a first mover. There's many L1s, so that's a negative thing, obviously. But I think there's plenty of space because the market it addresses is quite large. Major onboard, there's no major onboards that I noted just yet, and there's no exponential yet. And the liquidity depth on this is super small. Now that could be a positive thing because it could be such an early part of its stage, and if it gets that could be life-changing wealth if you get into this project and it ends up being heavily successful. And that's probably why the liquidity the liquidity depth is so low, is because it's so early. And I put niche serving a market now, I put that as green, even though it doesn't have those smart contracts up yet, but they're going to be on soon. I do believe that they're going to be on soon. So that's why I put it as green, because it's something that's going to happen because this team is delivering on those fronts. All right, tokens per person, tokens on the sell side, and all these things, these element things that lead to good price action, they look pretty solid. No fees that burn the tokens, etc. So I think that is the gist of it. Okay, so final summary. This project is in fact a low market cap with accomplished team. It is early to social media and it has a live niche. Now, the pros and the cons is a very large addressable market. L1s, they do have a very large market. There's a lot of competition there, but we're talking about a $300 trillion, the $400 trillion market. The world doesn't understand that yet, and this is why crypto is going to change many people's lives, because we're so early. No one really realizes that there's, we're talking about 300, 400 trillion. All the world's assets are going to move onto these L1s eventually. So it's part of that addressable general purpose trust computer environment. It's a very low cap. It's got low balance per account, the low cap per, how many people are involved in this system. Sophisticated team and Substrate Rust palette. So it's, it's part of that parity technology Substrate toolkit, which is, the best technology. It's future-proof. It's Rust. It's made for developers, and that's going to eat the space. It's going to, crypto is going to eat the world. Well, Rust is going to eat crypto at some point, and so that Polkadot, that Rust, that parity technologies is definitely going to is very effective, especially for developers. And there's a lot of toolkits, libraries, etc., being built out there. All right, the cons. It's very high competition. Obviously, there's a lot of L1s going for the same field, and we're so early that a lot of them are dead chains. A lot of these chains have no activity. This project could definitely fall under that if they fail to get people to build dApps, etc. The team's business sense, let's see how they might be all a bunch of PhDs and mathematicians. They did have a good marketer on their team, but we'll have to see. Only time will tell if they have that business sense. They're very smart people, so we'll see if that happens. But that's one of the potential cons, is these are PhDs. Will they have the business sense? And the project is very dependent on the team at this stage. It's still very dependent on the team. The team needs to deliver in order for this project to go anywhere. So those are some of the cons. All right, that is a review of Aleph Zero. And next I'm going to do my Patreon section, and the decisions that we make in there are part of the next part. So if you like this kind of content, this unbiased ROI approach with a model, then please like and subscribe. This channel aims to use this iterative process to correlate the research I do to highest ROI opportunities in the cryptocurrency space and change lives that way. So if you like that, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.